too old for the NBA, but he's the undisputed MVP of real estate, running point for one of the most unstoppable teams in the business. A master of assists. He's got the vision, the hustle, and the winning strategy. Give it up for Rob Ellerman!
Hey everyone, welcome back. I am super excited today. We have two amazing guests, and I'm going to introduce them to you here now. Zalman Kohen is our first guest. He's a builder, developer, and Zalman and I met several years back, and he has helped build one of the biggest building companies in Kansas City, actually sold it off to Warren Buffett. So not many guests that are going to be on here have built a company up and sold to Warren Buffett. So he's got some exciting information that he's going to share with us today. So super excited to have him on board. And then secondly, our guest is going to be Kim Flanner. And Kim is an agent on our team, and she is absolutely crushing the industry. She came over wanting to build a team. We're going to talk a little bit about how she's done that. She has went from 0 to, I want to say, like 14 people on her team, but we're going to get an exact answer from her here shortly. So it's going to be an amazing broadcast. We have two great sponsors in Trusted Roofing and Nexa Mortgage. So I look forward to bringing you these guests here shortly. Welcome back, everyone. I am super excited today. Our guest is my friend and colleague, but most importantly, my friend, Zalman Kohen.
Hello, everybody.
Yay, Zalman. All right. This segment is going to be brought to you by Trusted Roofing. So, Zalman.
Yes, Rob.
Friend, colleague, how long has this been? We've known each other since...
2 decades at least.
Man,
it's been a minute.
That's kind of aging us a little bit. I don't know if we want to say
we're
that.
young at heart forever.
Yeah. Well, so Zalman is the owner of Avatal Homes, and he's been in the building business for many, many years, and that's how we met. Mm-hmm. So I want to talk a little bit about you first and give us like the early days. Not just, don't just start right into Avatal. I want to hear the old days.
You want to go back?
Yeah.
Well, first off, thank you. It's an honor to be a guest and on this podcast. Really, Rob, kudos to you for getting this together.
Let's give Taylor props on that.
Absolutely,
our social
Taylor.
Media director, for sure.
Let's give credit where it's absolutely well deserved. So I have come to the States. I am a kid that was born and raised in Central Asia, former Soviet Union area. In 1995, my family and I have immigrated as refugees to Kansas City, out of all places. And KC has been home ever since. So much has happened. It's been a fun journey. We've learned along the way, and quite frankly, just chasing our American dream. And, I'm proud to say that this is a country that gives so much and so many opportunities. So if you have a dream and a commitment to work hard and build relationships and network, I think all of those dreams certainly can come together. And I think the testament of where I am today is the fact that it is possible.
Oh, absolutely. And so give us a little insight to Kansas City. I mean, you could have been on the beach somewhere, but we've got snow outside right now while we're recording this.
I'm not loving it.
Yeah, like what was the decision right in the middle of the country? Like, let's go there.
So funny enough, we had a choice between New York City or Kansas City. And when you're half a world away, I remember we looked at the map. My uncle was living in KC at the time. And we asked the family, wherever are you guys living? That's where we would like to come. And they said, well, you have a choice to go to New York or to come to Kansas City. We looked at the map. Here's New York. Here's Kansas City. Little did we know that it's actually entirely different worlds. Like the world of New York City versus Kansas City, there's no comparison.
Yeah, right.
But I think we made the right choice. Kansas City is such a great place to live, and aside from cost of living, but just a place to raise kids and family. So family focused and centric. I think it's been a great choice, and we've definitely loved it.
Okay, good. So when you first came over, there's a pawn shop story, right? Like
yes.
You started working in. I love the pawn shop story. So give us a little info on how you guys got rolling as a family. I know you
So I was 15 when we immigrated, came to the States. I was the only one that spoke English in our family of 5. So a lot of responsibility was, you got to figure it out, right? We came here. They said, "You want your American dream? Here you are. Go chase it." So my very first job was for a gentleman that owned some pawn shops in Independence, Missouri, out of all places. Okay. He was a member of our synagogue, and I needed a job. My uncle used to work for him, so I said, what if I come together and learn a little bit about that? So, mind you, I spoke British English, didn't know anything about anything. I barely spoke
British
English. I said, I can't. And people say, what'd you say? So I had people just say, all right, you say it, and then I'll Americanize my English. But I got a job at the pawn shop, working there. I was 16, and I was learning about everything, whether it's tools, jewelry, firearms. I mean, you can imagine people would bring and try to pawn whatever they can get $1 for. And it's an interesting business because customer isn't always right in that business, but you learn a lot about negotiations and, quite honestly, the humility of helping people, because people are, whether they're business people, they need to make payroll and they're trying to figure out, how do I make that happen, where you can't necessarily maybe go get a loan. Pawn shop becomes one avenue, and there are people who are just pawning, hawking stuff that because they need to get gas money. Yeah. So you see it from all sorts of different ends. But like I said, it was an 8.5-year run. I learned a ton. I ran the stores, and it was a great experience because while I was working there, I was putting myself through school. I got married. We had twin boys, and when people ask, how'd you guys do it? Honestly, you don't know any different. You do what you must. That's right. So that was pretty fun. And it was a rewarding experience overall.
There had to be some crazy stories with the pawn shop. Anything you can share here, or should we leave that for another podcast?
I'll share. Crazy enough that there was we called it a drive-through window. It really was a drive-up, and the store closed at 9. So between 9 and midnight, you had a midnight shift. Mm-hmm. And at the time, young family, listen, overtime, I loved it. It paid more. So anytime I could sign up for a pawn window, I worked it. So you remember how I said you learn the appreciation of how to deal with people? When people come in and they ask you to pawn something, you see all sorts of different people. You always have to keep in mind, at midnight when the store is closed, I have to walk to my car. So you make someone mad, right? You piss them off, you could be in trouble. Yeah, so you learn how to be super nice and understanding.
This watch is fake. I'm sorry to tell you.
Yeah. Well, they bring in, it's a window of 30-inch by 30-inch metal box at best. And they bring in anything that fits, we could pawn. If someone comes in and they bring in a firearm, a shotgun, it's it won't fit. There's they're trying to put it in there. You learn how to be really nice real quick because you don't want to be out there waiting for you because you made them mad.
We can just talk about this at the car. And you're like, no.
Yeah, right now. So in any case, it was fun. People came in and they brought in jewelry, firearms, tools. It's such a broad spectrum of things that you get exposed to. So the learning curve is steep, but it was pretty fun.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, let's fast forward a little bit. So your life trajectory kind of changed when you met this guy named Fred DeLibero, right?
You can say that.
Or wait a minute. Maybe I should say Rob Ellerman first.
I was going to say let's back up. The way I met, Fred, and you're absolutely right. He's a great friend, a mentor, and my life certainly has changed as a result of meeting Fred and working alongside with him, building a business. But in order for all of that to happen, you and I have met. And I remember it was the Great Recession. I was with another land developer, home building company. There was a lot of turmoil in the economy and layoffs and the recession. And at that time, we were pregnant, expecting our daughter, whose name is Avital. Yeah. So my company is named after her. Yeah. Shameless plug on that. But
and you have twin boys that are a little mad about that, right? Because
I owe them. I owe them something. Maybe I'll have to name a floor plan or a street someday.
Yeah, right.
But no, you and I met, and I remember we were having a conversation. I said, Rob, I'm out there actively looking, and I'm not sure exactly how it's all going to shake out because, we've got a kid on the way. I can't lose my job. And so I was worried. You made the introduction and said, Fred DeLibero, he is a great builder, a good friend, and you should, have a conversation. So I remember having lunch with him, and the rest is history. We've built a tremendously successful company here in Kansas City, and I'm proud to have been a part of that. It was a fantastic journey, learned a lot, made incredible, I guess, both memories and just the tools that I was able to gain as part of that experience ultimately brought me to a position where I was, comfortable to be able to step out on my own and take that leap of faith and at the same time chase my American dream.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm still looking for my percentage of your salary that you promised, I think.
Yeah.
I get lunch every, I think, 2 years is our deal or something, right?
There's a rotation cycle.
Like
yeah.
That. No, all good. But, the relationship with Fred, just for those who don't know, Fred started Summit Homes and with Zalman's help as well, built that up to be a really big company, sold to Warren Buffett and Clayton Homes. And so you got to go through the acquisition, all that stuff. Actually, got a picture with your arm around Bill Gates and
Warren Buffett. Yeah,
so
great experience.
I was a little jealous of that
was
picture.
Great experience.
But, so what did some of that, teach you that you didn't already know about the building world?
Well, I think, and not to sound cliche, but you know how they say that when you're dreaming, if you're not dreaming big enough, and if your dreams don't scare you, maybe up your game a little bit. When you, I'll give a lot of credit to Fred. I remember having, like I said, he's a mentor and a friend. Lots of conversations with him in kind of learning alongside with, from him and building a business. I think it gave me the tools and the confidence that, you may not have all the answers, especially early on when you're looking at a particular dream or particular set of problems and challenges. In my nature, maybe a bit more risk averse. I'd like to have all the answers. So the lessons is that you may not have all the answers, but if you have the commitment that it's who, not how, right?
Right.
The first question I think many of us, when we're trying to solve a problem, asking, how am I gonna solve this? Like, how am I going to achieve X, Y, Z? Well, there was this great book. I'll give credit to Fred that he shared with many of his friends, myself included. I think you may have gotten a copy as well of the book is Who, Not How, which kind of puts it in perspective. At the end of the day, you need to know how to solve every particular problem under the blue sky. But if you can look through your network and find people who may be able to help you achieve the outcome that you need, then then you're able to ultimately, be successful in your endeavor, right? So that's the who, not how part.
Yeah. I mean, that book's pretty interesting because the guy that actually wrote the book wasn't the guy that wrote the book. He actually
found the who.
Yeah, he had a who. So, and I think I run my business a lot like that, right? I mean, we've got great staff and managers in place, and absolutely things that I am not great at. Mm-hmm. I can delegate that out and
There's
hire.
things you're not great at?
There's
really?
a lot. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot. We won't get into that. That's a whole nother. There's
a different segment for that.
Yeah. Well, you have the Avatal single family division that you build and we do sell for you. Not try, right?
You do.
There's no trying. We have to sell for you. But
we don't build for practice.
That's right. You have something else that's pretty interesting, and you're doing some other projects that are build for rent communities. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. So we have a parallel operation with Avital Homes. We have Avital Properties Group. So APG takes on projects where we are building actively communities that are built for rent, single family or multifamily product. In today's environment, approachability or attainability to be able to purchase a home and a path to home ownership, it is challenging. So whether it's lack of down payment or just approachability, attainability on the monthly payment, so a renter by choice becomes another option. And I think it's a viable option because it gives a consumer a choice of housing in single family or multifamily, and they get to enjoy the benefits of living in a community that's highly amenitized. You've got your clubhouse, you have a dog park, you've got a gym and the pool and all the things that we grew to expect in for sale communities. And now you have all of those amenities in built for rent communities as well.
And this is a fairly new concept to Kansas City, right?
It is.
I mean, we've seen a couple other people dabble in that space a little bit, but you've got the ones in Raymore and Lee Summit, and those are the first of its kind in those cities, correct?
I believe so. So we have a project that we have just recently started delivering the buildings and delivered the clubhouse and amenities. It's called Ascend at Raymore, and is located in Raymore. Beautiful homes, townhomes. We have side-by-side units, and then a unique product where you have a townhome, but it's an apartment style where you have units on the main level and then you have units on the second level. Those are the 3 bedrooms, and then the side-by-side townhomes are 2 bedrooms. And we have a couple of projects. We're just about ready to break ground here in Lee Summit, where we have a Reserve at Blackwell. Those are single-family detached units. And then we have Reunion at Blackwell, and that's going to be a townhome project, and it's a 55-plus age-restricted type of environment. So really excited about all of those projects, and I think what it does for us collectively, it allows us to bring to the table with our trade partners, the vendors and suppliers, the volume when it comes to purchasing power, when it comes to negotiations, ultimately on attainability, approachability. The collective of everything that we are doing gives us ability to buy the best that we can, package all that up, and pass that on to the consumer. So then that ultimately helps with that approachability and attainability from the price point standpoint.
Absolutely. So let's backtrack just a little bit here and go back to the single family. Where can they find you out there in the world if they want to buy a house and they need a house to live in? So you've got 4 different projects going.
We do. I think the best place would be avitalhomeskc.com. Just visit our website. We've spent a lot of time and a lot of effort in building that website in order for us to be able to demonstrate which communities we're actively building. And like I said, we are bringing on new communities as springtime. Here we are at the onset of 2025. We are looking ahead to a robust 2025 and a lot of exciting things that are in store. So watch our website, avitalhomeskc.com, for new communities as they come on. Our available homes, we're actively working on either adding available inventory. All of our homes, as we build them from the moment of the inception, as we put them into the permitting or planning stage, we make them available. So we're selling them making them available at any stage of construction, and having a talented real estate team support us out in our communities. And then obviously we also have quick move-in or move-in ready homes for those folks that are looking for something more immediate. So within, give or take 30 days, if they're ready to move, we have some inventory and available homes. And a price point that we've really focused on is, again, how can we offer a broad range of homes? We have product that's available from mid-300s, and then it goes up from there depending on the community. We have some community and inventory available homes in Overland Park, which, as you can imagine, OP, you've got a high price point there as well.
Right. Okay, now I'm going to put you on the spot to finish up.
Okay.
So you came over to the country, became very successful. What's your advice to someone who maybe, maybe they are, coming into the country, or maybe they are just looking at, their life in general, and how do I make it, and how do I make it in maybe the building industry or whatever? Like, give us that last nugget of advice from somebody who started out with nothing, right? I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
We can say
5
that.
people, 5 suitcases, and we had no money.
Yeah.
So very little, enough to pay rent for the first couple of months, and that was it. So the rest of it was chasing the American dream and the opportunities. I would say that my advice, maybe a couple of points: never stop learning. Because I think every day, we're blessed by being able to get up and be healthy and in getting out there and ultimately chasing our, dreams and opportunities. So never stop learning. And then I think equally as important, like I said earlier, combine your passion of what it is that you're trying to achieve by looking at how can you leverage and take make opportunities come together by connecting with people, by networking, and ultimately you don't have to solve every problem yourself, but you have to be willing to work with others. And I think it's not going into creating friendships or relationship with a particular intent in mind that how can I take advantage of that particular relationship. But if you go in always truly being authentic and genuine, when you're making those connections, whether it's friendship, professional relationships, you simply never know what opportunity may be around the corner. And in order for you to capitalize or take best advantage of that opportunity, it might be those very same relationships that ultimately help you become successful. Yeah. It's kind of going back to that who, not how.
Right.
And
I was getting ready to say you really like that book.
I do. Yeah. I do. And then never stop learning. Yeah. And last thing I'd say is that never stop learning. I've shared that because my kids just reminded me. I always, when they were growing up, and they still are, I said, like, if you look back and a year goes by, what do you have to show for that year, right? Did you learn something? Did you commit to doing something? Because one thing is constant. Time is going to go by. Do you have something to show for it? It could be very small little thing. I want to learn a new skill, or I want to read a book. I want to achieve something. So set those incremental goals and commit to them. Because at the end of the day, no one's going to judge you, but your worst critic is yourself.
He also likes the 12-week year book, right?
Break it down, make some goals,
See,
write it down.
I'm following what you're doing here. So.
Absolutely. I'm trying to make sure that, the listeners that are taking their time to listen to the podcast can at least maybe take away a nugget or two and send you a thanks text saying like, hey, okay, I learned something.
Right.
So
yeah.
thanks
Go read a couple books and then make it big.
That's right. It's that easy. Just read a couple of books and boom, it all comes together.
Well, since I have this on recording, I've got staff drawing up the contract to get a piece of your salary from here on out. So
I knew there was a catch.
Yeah,
I knew
there is a catch to be in here, but
shouldn't have been that easy if you get invited. Boom, next thing you know, I'm paying you.
So, well, thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And obviously, for those of you who are watching, we've got the website posted online here. So go visit avitalhomeskc.com and visit Zalman and all his wonderful houses. Thank you again.
Thanks very much. Appreciate
Good chatting with you, buddy.
Absolutely. Likewise. Take care, everybody.
Well, I'm super excited to introduce our next guest, Kim Flanner. Yay! Applause. And this episode is going to be sponsored by Nexa Mortgage, which you might know a guy. Do you know a guy at Nexa?
I feel like I've heard of Nexa Mortgage.
Yeah, maybe a Joe Flanner.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. I may have met him at some point.
Kim Flanner, Joe Flanner. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so Kim, excited to have you on.
I'm very excited to be here.
Yay.
I can't believe you asked me to be part of this.
I know.
I
love
special.
It.
Thank you.
I love it.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, we like to get a little bit of background on our guests. Yeah. So, most of our guests are like, yeah, I grew up in Kansas City and, it's, here we are, right? Well, you've got this like extensive background from all over, right? So tell us a little bit about that.
So I am from everywhere. I'm originally from Long Island, New York. And then I lived in Utah. I've lived in Vegas. I've lived in Miami, Arizona, like back and forth out of California. And then Kansas City 7.5 years ago.
Wow.
And this is home.
Nice. Our first guest was from Russia, which I thought that was a lot, right? A farther away than Kansas City normally gets, but you've been all over. So you've also had a lot of careers, right?
Yeah.
And to start. So I want to talk a little bit about that. Like tell us about some of your background there, and then maybe give us a little insight into, what's helped you in the real estate world with those.
So my dad was in the construction field as a kid. And so I was kind of always around construction. And then he opened a place called RV Rental Express in St. George, Utah. And I started working at a very young age. And it was where we rented out like motorcycles, dirt bikes, RVs, you name it, snowmobiles, blasters. And I answered the phone and I would schedule them. And this is when camcorders were camcorders.
Oh.
And I'd have to like record the equipment to show that it had not been, wrecked. And then they'd come back wrecked. Yeah. So,
and they never knew how. It's like our moving vans, right?
Yeah. They don't know how it happened.
Yeah. That was there when sure.
Yeah. Nice. So I did that. And then he was also business partners with a guy that owned a gas station. So we were part of a Phillips 66 gas station and a Hoagie Yogi, which is like a sandwich shop. So I kind of knew how to run a business pretty early on. And that was when I was 12. And my parents have always been entrepreneurs and trying to figure out like all the things, right? Because that's finding.
So wait, you were 12.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. My dad put me to work early.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's the work ethic.
Yeah.
That you have.
I'm grateful for it, actually. Yeah. And then I went to college. I moved to Vegas. I went to UNLV. And then I worked in bottle service for a long time, which will literally, you can get sucked into it so quick because you make so much money and it's fun and you get paid to party. And I didn't party, but everybody else I knew did.
Sure.
Just
yeah,
kidding.
well, we can't edit this episode if you need to get into really good details on the party. No.
I was a party
animal. Yeah, I can imagine.
I had a blast. And then I was kind of over Vegas and I moved to Miami. And my aspiration was to go to University of Miami for law school.
Okay.
And I applied and did not get accepted, but I was working out there as a bottle server as well. I worked at Live nightclub, which is the #1 nightclub in the world and was at the time. And I was around a lot of influential people. And I always asked people where they got started and what brought them to where they're at. Like I met like princes of Saudi Arabia
Wow.
and just kind of everybody that was somebody, and I just loved to learn from them. That was pretty cool, but didn't get accepted to law school at University of Miami, but I did in Arizona, moved to Arizona, hated law school. Arizona is not my favorite. Mm-hmm. And I was dating a guy at the time that was from Kansas City and he wanted to move back to Kansas City. And even though I didn't really care for the guy, I was like, you know what? It's halfway back to New York, which is kind of where I thought I'd end up. And I even told him, I said, you know what? Things don't work out. At least I'm halfway back to New York.
Right.
And I ended up falling in love with Kansas City. So that's why I'm here.
That's why you're here. Okay.
Yeah.
So what got you to the next step of real estate?
So after law school didn't pan out for me, I had to figure it out. And it was like a very humbling experience because I had to get a real job. And I was a recruiter actually for a logistics company. And I ran all of Kansas for that company. And I actually really liked the job, but my boss was not very nice. And, but that was good, right? Like everything happens for a reason. And she kind of pushed me out of it, which led me to real estate. And I met somebody that was a realtor and I was actually working my recruiting job and doing real estate transactions on the side, like auditing files. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I can do this.
Yeah. And now you don't audit your own files, right? You have somebody else do that.
No way.
That's pretty funny that the transition happened that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you and I met through Joe,
Yeah.
because Joe's a basketball guy, and this is named the Fullcourt Press. So I've got to talk a little bit of basketball in here. So,
I love that.
So Joe and I played basketball together for a long time, and I kept saying, why don't, at the time you weren't married, so I was like, why don't you get your girlfriend to like talk to me, like, I think she'd be good over here and stuff. And so he's like, I got you. And so he kept working it on the back end, I think, right?
100%, yeah.
And then so we met, and then we started talking numbers, and numbers are always kind of interesting, right? Like I was like, oh, you don't always want to cap. That's not the best thing. And you're like, but I cap, And
Yeah.
so lead me through that thought process of, I wasn't a part of that conversation you and Joe had afterwards and stuff. Like, fill me in on that after we kind of talked and you started really thinking like, do I want to do this, or or do the numbers make sense? All of that.
Yeah. So I don't even know if you know this, but when you first I can't remember if you liked my business. Yeah, it was. You liked my business page on Facebook. And I remember thinking, it like took my breath away. I was like, oh my gosh, Rob Ellerman knows who I am.
Oh boy.
Because I was...
Taylor's like, we can edit this part out for
Sorry.
sure.
But I was I was a pretty new agent at the time. And honestly, I didn't think I stood out. I was still like kind of trying to figure out my business and like how it worked. And I had just went off on my own. And I couldn't believe that you had known who I was, because everybody in real estate knows who Rob Ellerman is, right? So it was kind of a big thing in my career. And then for me.
Yeah. Well, you were doing really, really well.
Well, thank you.
Right?
I real estate, you have to keep trying. And like, there's a lot of great people out there, and I'm grateful to be around them.
And just you and I had this conversation the other day, social media also, right?
Yeah.
You're really, really good on social media, but you can back up your social media with stats.
Yeah.
Right. Some people out there will we'll think, man, they are killing it. And then we look up their stats and go,
they're not killing it.
They're doing really well on social media. Right. So
it can make you think definitely that they're rock stars.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah.
So Joe did tell me, he's like, hey, I remember we were at Bar Louie, actually, not drinking. He's like, yeah, so Rob said that you should meet up with him and talk to him. And at the time I was at a different brokerage where they say you're capped out, right? Okay. So I wasn't paying any out-of-pocket commissions. And to me, it just seemed logical.
Right.
And I was like, no, I'm good. Like, I don't want to meet with him. And then like you kept asking Joe, and Joe kept telling me like, just talk to Rob.
Right.
And I remember
I'm persistent.
You are persistent, but you're good at what you do. I mean, that's why you are Rob Ellerman. So finally we met. And from the moment that we met the first time, we met me and Chad. And it was a great lunch. Like, it was very like low key. It wasn't honestly like a little business, but like it was more like I just felt comfortable, and we had good conversation. And I knew that Chad was really smart and that I wanted him to be my broker. And you and I got along really great. And I realized very quickly that if I wanted to be one of the best, I needed to surround myself with the best. And here I am.
Yeah, I love it. So this is a great segue. Let's just roll right into Atlas Home Group, right? Yeah. So when I was talking to you, we started talking teams, right? And you thought at the time, like, I would like to do that, but maybe you didn't have the tools or, I think I always say, like, a successful person can be successful no matter where they are, right? Can we help you get there maybe a little faster is always the goal, right?
Yeah.
So we started talking about that, and then, what was going through your mind on that? Like, should I start a team? Should I not start a team? Should I keep this individual thing rolling? Or where were you at in your mind on that?
So it kind of happened unplanned, right? I feel like the best things happen unplanned. Yep. And I was talking to my former partner at Atlas Home Group, and he was like, hey, we should start a team. And it was just kind of a joke in the beginning. And I was like, yeah, we should. And one thing led to another. And before you knew it, Donna, who is amazing. I always rave about Donna, by the way. Sorry, you're amazing too, Taylor.
Donna is our marketing manager for those listening.
Gosh, she is wonderful. But anyway, so she had created all of these marketing logos, and over the top, like, it was like a binder of all the things and all the ideas. And it had just like come into fruition without me having to do anything. And honestly, once I saw Atlas Home Group's logo on paper, it was like that vision was already there. And that's kind of how it started. And in the beginning, I was just like, oh, it's me and my former partner. And I didn't think that it would be that easy to grow. But we have grown pretty quickly.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Go ahead. Brag away.
Well, it's thanks to this guy.
No, not at all. I mean, like I said, we can give you some tools and stuff, but it's still your work ethic and you going out there and you're not even really beating the streets. I mean, I think people see your social media and they want to be a part of that.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
So you've went from an individual agent to 14?
Yeah, there's 14 of us.
14.
Crazy.
Yeah. And such a good group too. We just had lunch the other day. So
yeah, Rob, see, that's what's so cool too, is like, I feel like you've been like a huge support of Atlas Home Group. And anytime I've needed anything, you've been fantastic. And I really don't, I know I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Rob Ellerman team.
So give us a couple things, like what are, just a couple bullet points that, the agents out there that are listening, like if they want to grow a team, what do you have to have? What do you need to help you do that?
So I think everybody's vision is a little different. For me, I am a stepmom. I've got twin boys that are 11 and they are avid sports players.
Hoopers.
Yeah, big time hoopers. They live, eat, sleep basketball. And my husband, we have 3 dogs. We have 2 cats. I like to live my life. So I knew I needed leverage. And leverage for me meant that I wasn't doing things that I wasn't the best at. And that's auditing my files, which my personality is not to be auditing files. I want to meet people. I want to hug them. I love people, right? Like I want to just hang out with people. I didn't want to create my own marketing. One, it's time consuming. And two, I'm not the best at it. Like I can be okay at it, but it's not my profession. So if I could allow somebody else to do that for me, that just allows me more time to focus on my business. And that's why just everything kind of made sense, because at the other brokerage that I was at, the business model was to hire a personal assistant or a transaction coordinator. And I didn't want to spend the time to train them. And with the Rob Ellerman team, we even have a training staff. Right. So I didn't even have to train my current transaction coordinators, Sandra, which is our trainer with the Rob Ellerman team.
Everybody's getting a shout out today. I love it.
Well, it's a team effort, right?
It is, absolutely.
Like there's a lot of people that are working behind the scenes to make this all happen.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
So on top of building the team, like one thing that I think you're really, really good at is you invest yourself, right, in real estate. But I think you're one of the best agents out there in terms of helping their clients invest.
Thank you.
Right. And I really do. I think, your social media, you're always looking at how do I make everybody else wealthy?
Yeah.
Right. And when you do that, it follows, right? It's kind of the team approach that I have, right? If I can continue to do everything for the agents, then the money will follow on the back end and you don't worry about that.
I could completely agree with you.
Right.
Yeah.
So give us a little insight to, what brought on your love of investing? How have you done? How have your clients done? Any success stories? Any kind of fun stories there for us?
Yeah, I've got several. So I got into investing, believe it or not that long ago. And I actually have only been a real estate agent 6 years next week, which is kind of crazy, right?
Yeah.
So I bought my first flip in June of 2021. And it was a client's listing and they wanted to be non-contingent on a house, but they didn't have anywhere to live in the meantime. And the house needed a lot of work and it had a lot of DIY. I have to think about that. I always want to say DIY, not DIY. Right. I knew that if I was going to be able to help them, I had to buy the house. And so I did. And that's kind of how it all started with investments. And also when I talk to my clients, like people, a lot of the time, if their house does need a lot of work, I'll say, okay, well, we can list it for this, but if it doesn't sell, I'll buy it for this, you know? And honestly, sometimes it has panned out that way. So it started that way. I got into a flip and I learned a lot, right? Like I didn't make millions, it was like, I learned a lot.
Or itty, right? Sometimes,
Yeah. I think I made like 15, 20,000 or something, which I know is a lot of money, but it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of time from your business and your family and like it's a job, right? And
you pay taxes on that and then you divide that out by the time and sometimes it's not enough.
Yeah, for sure. And I have expensive taste, which is very shocking. So I had to learn very quickly that you have to match what makes sense, right? Like you don't want to be cheap, but you also want it to make sense.
Right.
So I learned a lot. And then I took that money and I just started buying rentals and buying other flips. And it kind of just grew really quickly. I bought 21 properties in 3.5 years. And
I love it.
They were all profitable.
Yeah.
Crazy.
You didn't miss on one of them.
No. Yeah. Some of it's luck, right?
Yeah.
And honestly.
There's some luck to it for sure. But you don't do 21 in a row, luckily.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I like to work. So, and I like to learn. And it's been great.
It's been good. Good. So that gives us a little insight into you and Joe and your investing and stuff. But like, do you have any client stories out there that like, somebody came to you and said, hey, I want to do this, or you've probably got something in your head here. So, and these are questions that I'm just asking. Like, I know I didn't prepare you for this. So.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I work in it. So it's all good.
Yeah.
So my favorite story is a single mom that I helped. She bought a house in April of 2020, and she bought the house for $190,000 and needed some work done, probably around $30,000. And that current house today probably sits around $385,000. And this is a single mom of 2 kids where the father was not in the picture ever. She never got any child support or anything. So she really had to do it all on her own. And she just closed on her first investment property with me 5 months ago. She bought it as a rental with her son, and they're going to business partner together. And seriously, it like made my heart so happy.
Yeah, that's great.
And she's going to now like teach her son how to build wealth for his future. And he's 21. And just seeing that at such a young age, I wish somebody would have shown me at that age, right? Like it's pretty incredible. So she probably has, I would say, around $400,000 in equity at this point, just in real estate without doing anything else.
Right. Oh, I love it. I love it. So that kind of gives us the insight to investing. Now let's talk about, yeah. Well, this is called Fullcourt Press, right? So we got to talk a little hoops.
I'm feeling the pressure.
We got to talk hoops.
I'm feeling it. Okay.
Yeah. So I notice you're either selling real estate or you're sitting in the bleachers watching games.
And boy, am I loud.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we see that on your social media too.
Oh my gosh.
No, all good though. So you've got 2 boys.
Yep.
So give them a shout out.
Blake and Bradley.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they're in 5th grade.
5th grade.
I think. Yeah.
Yep.
And they're a good little squad, and Joe coaches.
Yep.
Right.
Joe coaches everything.
Yeah.
He's dad of the year for sure.
Yeah. And Joe played ball at Columbia.
Yep.
And so my son is playing basketball at Summit Christian right now. And Max Rieger is one of our stud guards that is signed with Columbia.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You know, Joe's on the Hall of Fame at Columbia.
Oh, is that right?
He is. Yeah.
Oh.
You'll have to give it a...
Yeah. So Max will have to just be up there right beside him when his career's finished.
I would love that.
Yeah.
By the way, we were talking about Grady yesterday. And Joe was like, he's going to get some looks for college. So I'm excited to see where Grady ends up.
Yeah. He's had pneumonia.
Oh, no.
So unfortunately, he's had a few games where he's trying to struggle through that, and he lost 11 pounds and he doesn't have 11 pounds to lose. So he's getting that strength back. But I think we've got a tournament this weekend. I think he's going to be back.
Go
this
Grady.
week. Yeah. So he's going to be back. So what, when you're watching those games and stuff, are you still actively doing real estate on your phone? Are you trying to really focus on the games? Like, kind of walk us through that.
It took me a long time to realize to shut it off for important things, right? So like during halftime, I'll like check my phone. But truly, when I am watching the boys' game, I'm recording the entire thing, because if I don't, the boys get mad at me and I'm in big trouble because I missed a really good play.
Yep.
So I've learned my role.
I feel your pain with that one for sure.
Yeah. And honestly, like I know everybody has a personal life and I respect theirs too. But I always get back to people in a reasonable time. And I tell them, if you need to get a hold of me really quickly, just call me. And if I don't answer the first time, call me the second time, I'll pick up.
Yeah.
So it's hard to like balance it out, especially for me in the beginning. I felt like I had to answer every call, answer every text, and didn't matter what time it was. And sometimes I'm still like that. Joe literally is like, you can relax now. It's fine.
Yeah.
But I do live, eat, breathe, sleep real estate.
Yeah. And as a newly married person, you were going to Joe's games even when he was playing in the adult leagues and stuff, right?
Old man basketball.
Yeah, old man basketball.
Yeah.
Now,
do you know anything about that, Rob?
I do know that it changes when you're after so many years of being married. Your wife never shows up anymore.
Oh, well,
I don't know what year that was, but I feel like it was pretty early. So
I can relate.
Yeah. Okay. So you're ready. I was just
Yeah.
going to say, like, at some point you're going to be like, all right, Joe, I've seen you hobble up and down the court enough. So
it's a quick hobble, but yeah, I see it.
Yeah. So great. Well, that's awesome. So do you have any insight on the real estate piece? Like give some advice to those listening, like whether they want to run a team or just be successful selling on their own. Like what's the number one thing in real estate you think that you could give the advice of?
I think it's your support and who you surround yourself with, because if you are around negative people, you're going to have a negative attitude. And I'm a huge believer in mindset. And if you have a good mindset and you go into your day thinking, I can do this, I will do this, I can be the best, I will be the best, that's how you start your day, right? And if you are around people of good character and people with a good mindset, I think that feeds into who you are, not only like business-wise, but also personally. And just having a good support so you can still live your life and not have to truly. And this is why I do love the Rob Ellerman team. And I have other people that reach out to me and I'm like, I'm not interested, because it really is hard to compete, right? Like I've got marketing team. I've got a trainer that can help train my agents, or, I can ask her questions if I have questions. There's just so many different avenues of support that I don't really have to turn anywhere else. So for me, that's been huge. Being able to still, grow and be successful, yet, still live my life, because, what's being successful without living?
Absolutely.
So,
well, I think you're doing a good job of that.
Well, thanks, Rob.
Yeah. Watching all this social media, I'm a little jealous every now and then.
Oh my gosh. Well, social media will make you think everybody's life's perfect, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's a lot of imperfections of that also.
Yeah. So, well, okay. So here we go. So we got 5 questions, and it's rapid fire. And I know you don't know these.
No, you didn't tell me this.
I did not tell you this.
Oh my gosh. And I even saw Majid, which, by the way, putting me after Majid is very, like, I'm nervous, and I'm not even a nervous type of person, but he's like amazing. Him and Melody are incredible people, and I love them. Like, who doesn't?
It was a great episode. I got to tease him about the Mizzou win over KU, and let's see it.
I'm not sure what you're talking about, Rob.
This is for Majid, but we are flashing up a Yeti or Stanley or something of Mizzou Tigers all over it. So that's for you.
Majid.
That's for you, Majid. Okay, so we're going to hit these questions, and it's rapid fire.
Okay.
First thing that comes to your mind, just hit it. So the first question is, if you could afford any car in the world, what would you drive?
A Lamborghini.
A Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it would have to be just like, I don't know, drive it like once or twice a year.
Yeah. Not
a
daily driver.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not really a car girl, actually. Like, I like vehicles, but not cars. But for whatever reason, I do love a
you're
Lambo.
like the small SUV girl.
I love SUVs.
Yeah. I love it. Okay. All right. Question 2. Physical strength or mental strength?
Ooh, mental strength, because I think with good mental strength, it will create good physical strength.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah, see, I look really stupid, but sometimes.
Not at all. You're sitting by the right guy to look smart. So
it's
just
support here.
Yeah, just so you know. Yeah, I can bring the smart people down a little bit. But all right, the third one is, where is your favorite place you've ever lived? And you told us you lived in a lot of places. So number 1.
Well, my least favorite was definitely Arizona. That's very easy. Kansas City is home for me. I will say I'll always own a house in Kansas City, but I do have aspirations of owning homes in other areas. And one of those would be moving back, like having a vacation home in Florida.
In Florida?
Yeah,
okay.
For sure.
All right. So your favorite place
Florida.
ever is Florida?
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing. Not all year, right? So I lived in Miami, and I lived there for like 7 years, and I did not like that you couldn't have like Christmas like on the beach. Doesn't feel like Christmas, right? And hurricane season, you don't really care about the hurricanes after you live in Florida. People just kind of, we threw hurricane parties. Again, I didn't go to the parties, but I've heard of them.
It's like the tornadoes here, your outside video. And
nobody cares. Yeah. But so I couldn't live there all year long. If I were to live somewhere all year long, it'd be Kansas City. Yeah.
Okay. So the beach reminded me at Christmas, because we go to Destin quite a bit over the December, and there's always the sleigh with Santa pulled by actual dolphins.
Oh,
so it's not reindeer, it's dolphins on the beach pulling
cute.
Santa Claus. So yeah, that reminded me of that. But,
I love that. I haven't seen that.
All right, let's keep rolling here.
Okay.
What's your next one? A night out or a night in?
So it used to be a night out every single time.
Right.
And now it's a night in. Does that age me?
That does. I thought you would still say a night out on that one.
No.
That surprises me.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think the 5th one, what is your go-to karaoke song?
We were just talking about how bad my voice is. It's so bad.
We're actually going to play it right now, and you're going to sing to the audience.
Do not do that to them. Don't do that to them. So Joe and I actually sing this song called Stay, and it's so bad, but we have a couple beverages.
How does it go?
You know that song?
I tried to get her in.
Like, have you heard of it?
No.
I can't even think of who the artist is, but you definitely don't want to hear me sing.
Yeah.
But
I thought it was funny earlier. You said when you first sang in front of Joe, he said, "Can you sing that in instrumental?"
Yeah, because my voice is that bad.
That's so great. That's so great. Well, thank you for being here. If you want to let everyone know where they can find you, like your email and some socials and that kind of stuff.
For sure. So I am on Facebook. You can add me by looking my name up, Kimberly Flanner, or my business page, Kimberly Flanner Real Estate, I believe, Alice Home Group. My Instagram is at Kim Flanner or Kim Flanner Sells KC. Both are me. And those are the best ways to reach me.
Yeah. And if you get any of those wrong, like they'll flash them all up on the screen.
Perfect. So again, I don't look smart, so there's not high expectations here. We're good.
It should be like, that's not it, but it's on the screen. That's okay.
Perfect.
That's okay.
I can't read.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being here. I love talking to you. I love hearing your background, your story. And I knew some of it, but it was still fun to get some detail on it. So,
well, thank you for having me here. I couldn't believe it. But before we go, Rob, this is Fullcourt Press, right?
Yes.
And getting the guy that pretty much has everything, sorry. It's very hard to get you something. And I wanted it to be more funny. I even reached out to Aaron. I was like, don't talk to Rob. Don't tell Rob.
Okay.
And after Majid giving me such a great little gift.
Yeah. He gave me a podcast microphone.
I wanted to give you a little something.
You're trying to up Majid is really what's happening here.
Majid, here's the thing. I know I can't compete, so I'm just trying to look like on a close level. Like here's Majid, and I'm just trying to like climb up.
Okay. All right. There's a box in the floor here, so I'm nervously excited, I guess. Oh, I want to make sure we don't hit the...
So this is for your office, by the way.
Okay. Yeah, I'll tell you when to thread that side.
Sorry, I didn't take into consideration the space.
Yeah, that's okay. Uh-oh. Oh, yes.
So behind your door.
Behind the door to the office now is going to be a basketball mini hoop that actually, has all kinds of competitions on it. And it's electronic. Right?
You don't have anything basketball in your office.
I have a fancy one.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, Donna put like a fancy one up, but you can't really shoot on it because it scares me because I might break it.
Maybe I didn't see that. Well, this one's not super fancy.
This one we're going to dunk on.
Yeah.
This may be the only goal I can dunk on.
Be really loud like our boys are downstairs. Yes. I ended up taking it off the door and I'm like, you guys have a real basketball hoop. Like, come on.
Let's go. Well, this is awesome. Well, again, thank you. I love having you on the team. Your team is awesome.
I agree.
We're going to, we got some big goals, right?
Yeah, we do.
For 25.
25 for 25. Do you guys know what that means?
Yeah, maybe the next episode we'll have to tell them.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Kim. We appreciate it.
Bye. Thank you guys so much for listening. And thank you, Rob, for having me here. I appreciate it. Bye, guys.
Hey, thank you all for listening today. I truly appreciate it. If you would do me a favor, if you're listening on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. And if you're listening on Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast, please hit the subscribe or follow button on those. Also, don't forget, we are on every social media outlet you can imagine at the Rob Ellerman team. And that's on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. Like there's places I don't even know we're at, I'm sure. So please follow us there as well. And we'll catch you next time. Thanks for listening and hope to see you again soon.